Well, it is not an Arsenal summer transfer window if we are not linked to a goalkeeper at some point. And today it's happened. Sorry, not even linked, because that's me really downplaying what is supposedly going on. Arsenal have made contact, and the person who's telling us about this is David Ornstein. I'll show you here very, very quickly. You can see David Ornstein came in the last hour saying that Arsenal have made contact with Wolves to express interest in signing goalkeeper Dan Bentley. More on that later. We'll go through that in a sec. But we knew that there was the Ramsdale situation. We knew that with him basically good enough to be a number one, Arsenal were going to be in the market for a number two. But we're looking at a number three goalkeeper here, potentially in Dan Bentley. That's what we'll discuss in this live show. Send in your comments, send in your thoughts. It's been a little while since we've done one of these. And we're going to talk about Calafiori, because Romano, who I will say people get onto him, right? Because they're saying that he's just giving us the same update every day. But in fairness, he was one of the first to kind of really bring this story. He's at the forefront of the Calafiori sort of updates, and he is saying that a deal is close. I want to show you the quote to prove that as well in a little bit. But welcome all to the live stream, everyone. Hope you're all well. Hope you all had a good weekend. I've been watching Wimbledon, I've been watching Silverstone, been watching the Euros. So lots keeping me busy as Arsenal just quietly work in the background, but things are starting to pick up. I did a video on my channel last week. I think it was Friday last week, titled "What to Expect of Arsenal in July." And we talked about the fixtures. Obviously, we've had the Bournemouth fixture confirmed since then. Man United, Liverpool, that's all pre-season. That's all going on. That's exciting. But I talked about signs potentially picking up, and that's what we're getting now. Things are starting to get moving. Arsenal making contact. Arsenal are in negotiations for players and big players. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. But let me say a big hello to a lot of you tuning in. Good evening, the Dump. Hello, welcome. Nelson says, hi, James. Hey, how you doing? Big up, Anar. Good to see you. How you doing? Calafiori's a done deal. He's dragging it, says Trossardinho. Let's see. I hope you're right. Evening, says Ben. Good to see you. And yeah, let's get into the latest, which I showed you there. Let's bring it back up on screen. David Ornstein. Let me just say before I go into this, yeah, we're all expecting a David Ornstein bomber, they call it. You know, the big David Ornstein update, the update that says to you it's happening. And we've been hearing everything on Calafiori, thinking, please, David Ornstein, just tell us it's happening. And he goes, yeah, I do have some information for you. And it's about a potential third choice goalkeeper, or maybe second choice. That's what I think we're going to discuss a little bit before we go into all the Calafiori stuff. But he's come in and he says, Arsenal have contacted Wolves to express interest in signing Dan Bentley. I may accidentally call him David Bentley once or twice in this stream. If I do, I've caught myself doing that in preparation for this stream. So apologies if I do. But Dan Bentley, 30-year-old goalkeeper, identified as an Arsenal backup option. Homegrown, great character. Wolves would only sell if suitable bid lands so they can reinvest. That's with the Athletic. And he says that Alan Nixon came in with that first as well. Now, a couple of things to say about this. So, look, the Athletic's update is behind a paywall. I'm not going to just, throw that up on screen for you all, but I will just give you some of the updates. What have they got here in the article? Just a couple bits. He actually made his debut for Wolves against Arsenal in a 2-1 win for Arsenal. I was actually at that game, so I've actually seen him live. There we go. Bentley went on to make 3 starts for O'Neill's side. Apparently he's considered a great character. He says that in the tweet. There's not really much else in the article as I hiccup my way through. Apologies. Yeah, there's not much else. So basically, saying that he was at Southend. I've got a friend, big up Dylan. If you're watching this, Dylan, I think, is very excited because he's a former Southend player. Southend United, he was 3 years at Brentford before moving to Bristol. Right. So why am I telling you that bit? Because the Brentford thing is interesting. Who was the goalkeeper coach that we picked up from Brentford? And we seem to have gone for every target he's wanted since. It is Iñaki Kanya. Now, Iñaki Kanya, to be fair, how do I phrase this? Some goalkeepers we've signed under Iñaki Kanya, if I'm not mistaken, have been a bit hit and miss. I can't remember quite when we got him. I think we got him quite early into Mikel Arteta's time at the club. I don't know if Runnison was a Kanya signing. Listen, by the way, none of these will just be Kanya signings, okay? These will all be players that Iñaki will know about, will have expertise on. Some he might have worked with, like David Raya at Brentford, for example. And along with Arteta and Edu and the scout departments, they've all worked to identify the players they want. But Dan Bentley is someone that I believe he did work with at Brentford. He was the Brentford #1 before David Raya came in, ended up, like we said, at Bristol, I think it was, and then at Wolves, but mainly as a backup goalkeeper. So there's the link there. What I'm really interested to see with this is he coming in as a #2? We're getting ahead with it because we know Ramsdale's going to leave, or is he coming in as a #3? Because Karl Heinz is probably going to want to move after signing a new deal. And I don't think Karl Heinz is looking to just sit on the bench and just play his part in the squad anymore. He signed a new deal, probably with a view to going on loan, trying to fulfill his potential, which Arsenal clearly feel is theirs. They've given him a new deal. And yeah, I imagine that's how they're looking at it. Now, there is an update. Let me just get it up on screen that Arsenal are looking, here we go, to actually bring in as cover for Raya and Ramsdale as a third choice goalkeeper. He's a 30-year-old. That came in from Nathan Judah came in with that one. So that's an interesting update there because Ornstein said as a backup, he didn't sort of say, yeah, he's coming in as, Raya's backup if Ramsdale leaves or whatever, just says as a backup goalkeeper, fine. Now, Nathan seems to be saying there, aggregated by Doc, go follow, always gives really good transfer news. Now, as cover for Raya and Ramsdale, does that mean if Ramsdale goes, that we're then looking to bring in a better second choice goalkeeper? I'm no expert on Dan Bentley. Is he good with the ball at his feet? Okay, great character. Okay, homegrown, 30 years old, but not really got a lot of Premier League experience. What's his cross-claiming like? All this is stuff we'll have to do analysis on this channel. And of course, I'll do a breakdown on AFTV if he is to join. But I don't really know any of this stuff off the top of my head. I don't know if he's got a particularly big reputation for a lot of these things that Arsenal want in a goalkeeper. It just feels to me like, let me try to gather my thoughts. It feels to me like we're looking at him as a third choice goalkeeper, but why would he want to do that? At 30 years old, he is going to be, in some of his best years. He's played some minutes as a Premier League goalkeeper. Yeah, okay, you can play for Arsenal. Yeah, you can work with a coach you're comfortable with. Yeah, you probably think you'll get a little bit of game time every now and again, but I don't think he's coming to be like what Scott Carson is for Man City. So that is an interesting one. Would Arsenal bring in a goalkeeper now, even though we haven't sorted out what's going on with Ramsdale? Because there's no guarantee that Ramsdale's going to move on. So if there's no guarantee that Ramsdale's going to move on, are we not then in a situation where you could end up with the three of them? We don't really know what's going on with Hine. I don't know. And look, let's also not go too far with this. While I'm sort of thinking about all these things, David Ornstein's literally said they've made contact. Not, it's not they've made a bid, not that they're close to signing, nothing like that. They've made contact. So maybe he's sort of, got the news that Arsenal are trying to do this deal, or at least are keen to do this deal. But David Ornstein never really comes in with like super early stage stuff. He will come with a big update or an update that he believes like has real legs to it. Like there's something really in that. If not, why would he have not just sort of given us more updates on Calafiori? Now, some of you might say, well, because it's not happening, the Calafiori is not as far ahead as people think, or because he doesn't want to add to it all, but or maybe he doesn't know much stuff on it. But The Athletic just did a piece on Calafiori, like a breakdown on him, discussing his strengths, his weaknesses, what kind of player Arsenal are in for. And it makes you think, well, would The Athletic have done that piece if their own information, aka David Ornstein, Gunnerverse, whoever it is that sort of works, James Horncastle covers Italian football at The Athletic, would they have done all that if internally they didn't believe that deal was going on? So, thoughts all over the place, people. Thoughts all over the place. Unfortunately, when I do these live shows, I think they're going to be like that a little bit because I'm just live reacting to what's going on and piecing it all together as I'm live with you. Hopefully, you guys can help me, just gather my thoughts as I read your comments and get your reaction to all this as well. Here's my gut reaction to what's going on. I think for Dan Bentley, he's a backup at Wolves. I don't want to be rude about this, but why not be third choice at Arsenal? Great place to work, let's put it bluntly. Work with a goalkeeper coach. You'll probably improve a lot. You might get another move in 2 years as a 32-year-old. Could your stock really go down? Probably not. It'll probably go up. And he maybe backs himself, to fight his way up the pecking order, maybe. We had been linked with Johan Garcia. I think that's the goalkeeper. Let me just quickly look up the name. Johan Garcia. Goalkeeper. Right. Of Espanyol. So we've been linked with him. Is there something that? I think it was a Barcelona journalist said that they had information that Arsenal were were signing this guy. So let's see. Does it hurt? Does it hurt Ramsdale negotiations if clubs come asking about Aaron Ramsdale? Are you not in a better position to say no? We want 50 million because he's still an important part to play in the squad. If you have Dan Bentley there and Carl Hine, aren't people saying, well, hold on, you've got a wealth of goalkeepers. We know that actually you want to get one off the books. I know, lots to gather there, lots to think about. But my gut instinct is that this is seen as a homegrown player opportunity. Who's 30 years old, who's a good character, worked with our goalkeeper coach before, and would just be happy to be a part of the squad. But maybe I'm doing a disservice to Dan Bentley there. Like, maybe I am. And like I said, maybe all this is just so early. It's just contact to see. If Ramsdale goes, we'll get Bentley, in he comes, everything's fine. That might just be what it is. They're just getting ahead. It could honestly be as simple as that. I'm really glad you asked about this, Abdul. Thoughts on Cozier-Duberry to Brighton? Do you know what? I wasn't planning on talking about this video, but let's do that. Let's talk about Cozier-Duberry. We'll do that. We'll cover everything. We've done 10 minutes on Dan Bentley. I will get to Cozier-Duberry at the end of this stream, and then we'll cover the Calafiori stuff. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, O'Malley. Why would Hines sign and become fourth choice? Bentley will be second choice. Ready for Arsenal fan meltdown about a player who will only play in the EFL realistically. I mean, O'Malley, very, very possible. Very, very possible. It's like I said, I think it's more likely that Hine goes on loan and Bentley comes in, maybe takes that third spot. But is that really likely that 30-year-old would agree to be Arsenal's third choice? Am I dreaming? Like, maybe. I don't really know. Look, lots of clubs have had have had three good goalkeepers, right? I wouldn't be the first to do it, to have three genuinely good goalkeepers on the books, or ones that have some, semi-high level experience. But I don't know. What's more strange is that this would come out publicly, that Arsenal would explore doing this deal when we don't know what's going on with Ramsdale, unless we don't know what's going on with Ramsdale and actually more's gone on there. It's hard. We're all guessing, people. We're all guessing. I think Hine goes on loan, personally. I don't think he signed a new deal to become a third choice. I think he signed it with a view to go into play so he could prove himself. Otherwise, why not? He could have gone and got himself a permanent move at a club. I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing it all wrong. Do you think this may influence Neto? No. Some people have mentioned that on Twitter. I don't know how that correlates personally, if I'm honest. What have we got? I didn't even do the thumbs up. But that's going to happen every stream now. Yeah, Harrison, you're asking. I don't know. That's my instinct. But again, I think the more I talk about it, the more I think I'm wrong. So yeah, I don't know. If you're asking Cambo how come David Ornstein hasn't said anything about Calafiori, it's like I said on my Friday upload, which is that I just think he likes to bring an update. He likes to bring real tangible information and real truth. I think the reality is that no one quite knows how far along this is, but I don't think if you asked about him that he would say it's not happening. But I don't think he's sitting somewhere going, this deal's not happening. I think he'd have told us. I think he'd have said, exclusive, Arsenal not pursuing deal for Calafiori, or Arsenal pursuing deal, but it's still far off. I think he'd say something like that. I think he's just not said anything because everything that's out there is probably correct. Big up, Max. Yeah, chill with the spam, everyone. Any spam, you will be muted. And anything rude, anything offensive, anything completely and utterly inappropriate, you're getting blocked from the channel. Big up Max, by the way. I'm always every time I see Max in the comments, I'm gonna shout him out, people. The work he does for this channel. Yeah, he's the guy. Okay. FIFA, does Ramsdale want to stay though? Who would have thought he wanted to be first choice? Would have thought he wanted to be first choice elsewhere. I think Ramsdale and Arsenal, and this is just gut feeling, it's just a reading between the lines thing. I think this is a situation where both the player and the club are actually probably in a similar situation, which is I think Ramsdale actually probably only wants to leave if it's a good move. Because I know this is going to sound quite cynical of me. I'm not saying Ramsdale's necessarily thinking of it like this, but if Raya picks up an injury, Ramsdale's number one. If Raya struggles and Ramsdale performs brilliantly, Ramsdale's number one at Arsenal. Like with all this, it's at Arsenal. He's he's living in London. He's been very comfortable the last 3 years. He's been an England international. His stock is still incredibly high. I think he would want the right move, and equally, I think Arsenal want the right move as well. I think they want a fee, and I think they want a genuinely good deal. I think everyone wants that. So I don't think Arsenal or Ramsdale will be pushing this situation. Arsenal will be more happy keeping him as a number two. It just didn't feel feasible with how good a goalkeeper he is. But if the right move isn't there for him, he'll probably go, look, I don't want to go to that particular club because it's not the level I believe I'm at. So I'm happy to keep fighting and wait for that deal. So at some point, a big club is going to want a good goalkeeper and they will look at Aaron Ramsdale. And with every year that runs on his contract, it's a depreciation in his fee and his value. So I don't think there's any great rush there. And then the final thing I'll say on this Dan Bentley stuff. O'Malley says, Dan Bentley is a pretty good goalkeeper. I'll take your word for it. I don't know anything about him. I really, really don't, about how good he is. I mean, I know he was at Brentford. I know he's been a championship goalkeeper. And like I said, the articles really sort of talk about what a great influence he is behind the scenes. I mean, cool. That's all great. I hope he is pretty good because we might need him. Also, over the years I've supported them, they've had to turn to their third choice goalkeeper at times. So let's see. Let's talk about Calafiori now. Let's talk about I like this comment, sorry. It's got that Erdegaard worker on YouTube. Appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you, Percy. I see your really, really lovely comment. Thank you, Percy. I won't read out loud, but I just want to say I saw it and thank you so, so much. All right, cool. Let's go into everything we know about Calafiori. It's not a massive update, but it is an update. Let's get up on screen for you. So, Fabrizio Romano. Arsenal pushing to get Ricardo Calafiori a deal done next week as final rounds of talks have already been scheduled. Arsenal are confident as Calafiori wants to move. He's keen on Arsenal project and agreed on contract until June 2029 for €4 million net per season. This is the bit. Deal close. Look, I know a lot of people are going to say, what's that? It's not an update. He's been saying this, for ages. Let me just say one thing about Fabrizio Romano and about David Ornstein, and I think their styles when it comes to covering stuff. Firstly, I did a little bit of journalism training. Well, not a little bit. I did journalism training, and I've spoken to journalists. And the one thing I'll say is, it is not easy to get information because clubs are genuinely trying to keep everything from journalists. They don't want people to know things. It impacts the clubs. Clubs have a better chance of doing this stuff in silence. To get the deal they want, to keep a lid on emotions in the fan base. They want to operate quietly. So it's very difficult for journalists to get hold of information. Now, these journalists are also constantly asked for information. So while I totally and utterly respect the David Ornstein approach of, I will speak very rarely, but when I do, I'm going to bring a real big update. Fabrizio Romano is much more of trickles of information to let us know things. And fine. Am I complaining that he's told us this? No, I'm not. I mean, he was the one who gave us the details on the contract till June 2029. That's all agreed. That came out on Friday. I covered that in a breaking news on AFTV. Didn't do a video on this channel just because it was basically the same news I had from my Friday video. But he confirmed that the contract's there, June 2029. He's got a salary there. He's saying that, next week, final rounds of talks to get it done and that a deal is close. I've been constantly worrying that a Juventus were going to jump in, that Chelsea or Liverpool would sort of come in at the last minute to try and get this done. And that's not the case. It's the more this is going on, he's saying he wants Arsenal, deal is close. And this isn't a particularly easy deal to do. I know a lot of you will go, well, we know that they want 50 million euros, go get it done. But there's the Basel angle to all this. Basel can get 40% of the fee. And with all these, sometimes maybe one of the easiest things to, I've obviously never bought or sold a player, but I imagine one of the easiest things to establish when doing these when doing transfers is how much are you going to pay, the total package. That's probably not that difficult. I imagine that's why contract terms and things like that always get done quite quickly these days. Everyone knows or is sort of willing to say quite quickly what they're willing to pay. I mean, I wouldn't see why that doesn't get hashed out in sort of one meeting or so. I imagine, again, I've got no idea what I'm talking about, but I imagine the holdup is structure? How much is up front? How much, in what in what payment structure does the money come through? Is it 6 monthly? Is it yearly? I don't know. I'm making things up here, but you get my point. When do Basel get it? All these things. Do Arsenal pay directly to Basel? Is that a thing? I don't know. Like, I'm just guessing here. But all these things I imagine will be going on in negotiations. And I imagine that is what Arsenal will be trying to iron out right now. But to say a deal is close, that's big. Like, this is a guy I really want. And someone was asking me today on Twitter, X, they were saying, by the way, I'll always call it Twitter and X, by the way. I'll always call it both. For me, people are asking me, why do we even want this player? Now, I think a breakdown has just come out on AFTV. They had a full breakdown on Calafiori. Let me have a quick look. Wait there. Yeah, it's out. It's been out for 4 hours. Okay, have a look. I did a whole breakdown on Calafiori. Now, my thing is that with Calafiori, he's that left-back, centre-back hybrid that I think a Tomiyasu is, that a Timber could be, that a Kivior probably is. But he actually is the only one in the actual profile with a left foot that Arteta would want. And look, he looks like he could be better than Kivior. He is, what is he, 6'2". He's played left back most of his career, as Kivior hadn't. Zinchenko's a midfielder converted left back. Kivior's a centre back converted left back. Timber and Tomiyasu are right back / centre backs converted to left back. Calafiori actually has played most of his football as a left back. That's it. Like, that's, he just feels like more the profile that Mikel Arteta would want there. Apologies, I'm getting distracted by some comments coming in, so that's why I'm sort of stuttering through some of this conversation. But he just feels like a natural fit. What Arteta do with Ben White at right back, I'm not saying Calafiori is going to be that at left back, but I think that's probably how he's going to use him, as opposed to just shoving someone at left back so they can maybe do the job. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that, people. I think we're going to sort of round it up there. I mean, that's kind of the latest news, everyone. Just show you one more time. Arsenal pushing to get Calafiori deal done next week. Final round of talks has already been scheduled. Arsenal confident as Calafiori wants the move. Keen on AFC. Deal is close. And we'll also chuck this in there as well. What we saw here. The Arsenal have made contact. So contact Wolves to express interest in signing Dan Bentley. Is this just a really early thing? I don't know. Maybe it's just a contact thing. Maybe it's nothing to get sort of too excited about, or maybe you're not excited. And this is the thing. Arsenal fans, I think if Dan Bentley comes in as the number 2, I think people will feel quite overwhelmed. Sorry, opposite. Quite underwhelmed by it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's coming to be third choice, second choice. How good is he? I don't know. Like, I really have no idea. I mean, like, look at Jason Steele at Brighton. He'd been to lots of clubs, Championship, whatever, ends up at Brighton, and then working with a particular coach to play a particular way. Suddenly you discovered that Jason Steele had this incredible passing range, on the ball ability. Who would have thought that, about Jason Steele like 10 years ago? I knew about this guy. So who knows? Maybe there's stuff we don't really know about him. So who knows? We'll keep an eye on all that. Then I'm going to leave it there. I did say I was going to touch on Cozier-Duberry very, very quickly. So let's do that. Cozier-Duberry left Arsenal. I believe it was a case of not signing a new contract. Apologies, I wasn't going to talk about this. I'm not as prepared, but someone did ask, and I actually think it's probably worth mentioning. He's now joined Brighton. Really good move for him. Brighton is sort of renowned for being brilliant in the transfer window. So whenever they sign a player, everyone goes, well, they must be brilliant. But actually, if you look at all of Brighton's transfers over the last 5 seasons, there's definitely some in there that, who was it? Someone who we faced in the Europa League, Seema, I think his name's Seema. He went to Brighton for like 12 million, I think. And, I don't think I've seen him play for Brighton. So not every player that goes to Brighton and ends up being this absolute superstar. Terence saying Brighton are class. They are. I have so much admiration for the way Brighton operate as a club, and I think it's a great move for Cozier-Duberry. But I'm a little bit skeptical. I'm a little bit skeptical about, how is he there to be a first choice goalkeeper? Here we go, getting muddled. To be a first team squad player this season? Is he going to play Premier League football for Brighton? I don't know. Did he deserve more opportunities at Arsenal? I didn't watch him much in the academy. I know he went on the US tour and got sort of 10 minutes in the game against Barcelona. Yeah, I don't know. I think and people who watched the academy said he was really talented, and that he maybe did deserve a few more minutes in an Arsenal shirt, but it didn't come. And when you see the couple of minutes that Nwaneri got at times, I think if Cozier-Duberry was at that level, that might have come. But I don't know. That's probably unfair of me to say. I'm no expert on him. But Cozier-Duberry's gone to Brighton. I think it's a really good move for him. And I think Arsenal squad is in a place where we need a forward we genuinely depend on throughout the season to have a big impact if they're going to play at times with Saka, at times instead of Saka, with Marte, instead of Martinelli, maybe Falstein, whatever it is. We need a player. That's why I'm talking about the likes of Kudus, the likes of Nico Williams, the likes of Marcus Rashford, whoever it is. That's why I'm talking about those kind of players. If we're to add a wide player to this squad who's going to play a part next season, as opposed to just like a young player that can just play when Saka's not available. I think we need that competition. I think we need, I think we just need everyone pushing. Anyway, everyone, big thanks for joining. Really, really appreciate it. Those are just the transfer updates. Good to chat to you all. I'll see you all very, very soon. Yeah, Dan Bentley. Could it be happening? And then Calafiori looks like that's happening quite soon. See you all soon.